Hello, hi. So I am Natalie Mack. So hello, everyone. Come on in. We are so excited for this conversation today, specifically for military homeschool families. And we welcome those who are not military homeschooling, but are friends of ours. So come on in. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our 19th Military Facebook Live. And my name is Natalie Mack, as I said, and I'm a high school educational consultant, as well as I serve as the military outreach coordinator for HSLDA. I'm also a retired Navy chaplain's wife and a mom of five. We have homeschooled since 2001. So this is year 23. So I'm really excited about that. And we have graduated forward to college, and we have a current 11th grader. So joining me today for this great discussion, I'm really excited about it, is a very dear friend, Kathy Carbaugh. Kathy is the Military and Veteran Service Advisor for Virginia Peninsula Community College. So get ready for an informative conversation on using your VA benefits. So, to all of my fellow homeschooling families joining us on Facebook, we're glad that you are here. Will you please go ahead and let us know you are with us live now? And even during the replay, you can do hashtag replay. If you are here live, go ahead and let us know in the comments, and we would love to know where you are joining us from, as well as if you have any questions for Kathy relevant to the VA benefits, please go ahead and feel free to put those in the comments. Likewise, if you're watching the replay, we do go back and respond to comments. So if you have questions during the replay watch, please feel free to put questions in the comments as well. I see someone coming in from Florida, Audra Frack. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. I'm really excited about this conversation. We are now, as I mentioned, on the retired side. My husband was a Navy chaplain for 34 years. And so we have encountered the VA benefits on this side, and I am very thankful that we have had the access to them. And so I thought this would be really a relevant conversation for us military families to really kind of talk about what those benefits are and how you can possibly have access to them given the different requirements for the different chapters that we will be discussing. So I appreciate you coming in. Ciao, Andrea, ¿cómo estás? She's coming in from San Diego. So awesome to see you. Shirley Foman from South Carolina, welcome, welcome. And Jennifer Gray from New Mexico, thank you for coming on in. So when you come in, anyone new, go ahead and you can go ahead and do like you've seen in the comments. Let us know where you're joining from. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I will try to remind people if you have questions periodically, you can put them in the chat. We'll get to those towards the end. So Kathy Carbaugh is here. So I know all about Kathy, at least I think I know a lot about Kathy. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I want Kathy to go ahead and speak for herself. So Kathy, will you please share a bit about yourself, your family, your military family, all the things that us military families love to hear? Go ahead, Kathy.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Natalie and I've been friends for a long time, and I'm just blessed to be here. Um, my dad served in the Air Force in Korea, and then he switched over to the Army and served in Vietnam. We moved every 2.5 years until I was 13, so we kind of all have that understanding. He gave over 20 years to the military. My
Wow.
husband and I had been married about 9 years before we joined the Navy because the employment climate at the time, we held 25 jobs in 4 years prior to his enlistment. He served for 23 years. We have 3 children, 2 of which I started homeschooling in 1993, and I graduated my last one in 2009 from homeschooling. Amazingly to me at this point in my life, they all have college degrees. It wasn't what I was looking for as I home educated them, but it's just nice at this point to say that. Um, we have 9 grandchildren, the oldest being 21, and he actually graduated with HEAB in 2021. So that was kind of
Wow,
cool.
Kathy.
And the youngest is 3. And then our 17-year-old granddaughter is now dual enrolled in community college in Tennessee. She is in a family of second generation homeschoolers. So I'm just when I started in 1993, it was with homeschooling in 1993. It was with the purpose that my kids wouldn't have to change schools every 2.5 years like I did. So,
And I love that story. Thank you so much. I didn't realize that you were at 9 grandchildren, so shout out to that, and I that's so awesome. Um, and so I said I thought I knew everything, but obviously I didn't. So, your reason for beginning homeschooling as a military family, that's one of the most common ones, right? Is that as military families, the constant relocation and having to change school systems is something that draws military families to make the decision to homeschool. So that is awesome. Wanted to say to anyone that's joining us, go ahead and let us know where you're joining from. We welcome you. And any questions you have, put them in the comments. We'll get to those in a bit. But I wanted to also let you know a little bit, because at the beginning I said we've been friends for a while. So people may say, well, tell us a little bit about that story. So I know we were going to focus a lot on the VA benefits, but just so those listening can know, Kathy and I met way back in 2005 when my family PCS, for those who are not military, primary permanent change of station, which is not permanent, right? And we turned it into a verb PCS, right? To Little Creek. My husband was assigned to the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier, and I was looking for the homeschool group. I had just left Camp Pendleton, which Marine Corps, West Coast. Someone recommended, call Kathy Carbaugh. And I said, okay, who is she? Give me her number. So I called Kathy and I said, Kathy, someone said that I needed to talk to you. And she said, oh, they did. Well, what did they say? I said, well, I was saying I can't find a military homeschool support group here in the Hampton Roads, Little Creek area. And I said, I really feel God is calling me to start one. And she said, well, if you start it, I will support you. And 18 years later, here she is supporting me as a guest, and she's still a huge support to me and a dear friend. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here. You are such a wealth of information, and from the beginning of our relationship, you have always been such a key supporter and such an asset and full of information. So I said I wanted you to come on and talk about the VA benefits. I see we have a couple of people joining us. Becky Swafford, and you tag someone. Thank you for tagging Natasha. Also, Christy Wagner from Belvoir. Hey, that's where I'm president. Hi, Christy. How are you doing? So let's go ahead and get started chatting about the VA benefits. First, let's talk about what do you do in your role as advisor for Virginia Peninsula.
well, when somebody walks into our office, or if I run into you in the supermarket, or if we run into each other at HEAV, I normally do have my advising hat on. What is that? It's just that. It is an advising. I talk to people about, are you military? Have you used benefits? It's advising what benefits you might be eligible for, whether you've applied for the benefit, have you used it before somewhere else? And then I move into, what do you want to do with your education? What are your passions? What are your long-term goals for the time you will be at our school or any school? And then the last step is just the processes of using your benefit at our college. Are you in state or out of state? What do we need to do to change that? Are you in a degree plan that can be submitted to the Department of Veterans Affairs? And Natalie and I were talking about acronyms, and I will always say DVA, which is Department of Veterans Affairs. And I will tell you that this position is different at each college, but once you locate this office at the college you are going to attend, they'll direct you on how to use your benefit with them. And then my final step as a school certifying official is that I submit this information to the Department of Veterans Affairs. The great thing about me is that I used both the Military Spouses Scholarship called My CAA to fund my education at 50. And then my son was also able to use the transfer of benefits for his education. And then I finished and graduated using the post 9/11 transfer of benefits that we're going to talk about a little bit later.
That is awesome. So, yeah, so you are an advisor in real life, advisor professionally. So that's nice when they sync up like that. So I see a couple of new people coming in. Roy from New Kent, welcome, as well as Krista Lee from J Bear. Wow, I was in Anchorage 2 years ago. So that is awesome for the AFIA conference. So thanks for coming on in. At the beginning, I mentioned us being retired and how we're on that side and the VA benefits is relevant. But I should backtrack because you just mentioned the post 9/11, and we're going to talk about that. And we actually, that's something when you're active as well. So we use that, and it was such a huge, I want to call it blessing for us. We were stationed in Naples, Italy at the time. And so we discovered that we had that and were able to, we had two kids going to college, not the same time, but within about a year, about 2 years apart. And so the benefits of that are dynamic, but I know that there's requirements and differences for all of these. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We know there are several programs for veterans to fund their education, right? And other programs, not even VA related. That could be a whole nother discussion at some point. You mentioned some of them already, as well as to fund their children. So we have people here who are wanting to know that information. So I know chapter 30, chapter 31, 33, and 35. So let's go ahead and just start numerically with chapter 30. If you want to go ahead, Kathy, and talk about chapter 30, and then we'll just keep going to the next one, okay?
Okay. Well, I appreciate you letting me share. The first three actually have to do with veterans. They are first always the veterans benefit. The
Mhm.
chapter 30 is the Montgomery GI Bill, and this is a benefit that the veteran would have paid into as they joined the military. They put in $100, and then after they put in $1,200, the GI Bill is there. And this is one of the older GI Bills that have been in place for a long, long time. However, we know on our side that it's in the process of being sunsetted.
Okay.
So this benefit requires the veteran to pay tuition and fees to the college prior to this to our submission to the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Hmm.
As a benefit, it pays a monthly stipend. There's a percentage there, but there is no book stipend, and tuition is not paid.
Okay.
It can be relinquished by the veteran and switched over to the post 9/11 Chapter 33 benefit for the veteran alone.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Interesting. Okay.
so
So,
chapter
yeah, wow, that's interesting because post 9/11, obviously, I just mentioned about for dependents, but if they switch it from a chapter 30, it's still just for the veteran, right?
right,
Okay, got it.
and I'll go over that when we get into 33 and the transferability process.
Okay.
So chapter 31 used to be called VOC Rehab, and our veterans said, we don't like that acronym. So a couple of years ago, there was a lot of stuff that happened with Colmary. And one of the changes was they changed this to the Veteran Readiness and Employment Benefit. What has happened in the last year is that this can be used both as active duty and as retired. It's a process that takes 3 to 5 months to get assigned to a VRE counselor and go through the process. The process starts with applying for it online at va.gov. And as we get to the end of this conversation, we're going to post that information for you to be able just to
Yes.
click on the link and move forward. We have students. The reason it takes a while is because you have to be assigned a counselor, and then they want to go over what you've done already before and what your long-term goal is and how much funding they can give you.
Okay.
So we tell our students when they walk in the door, our first question is, are you already assigned a VRE counselor? Where are you at in the process?
Right.
So
Got
it's
it.
a
Got
great
it.
benefit, but it takes time. So
It takes
I
time.
like
So
to,
it's not, oh, I need to start classes tomorrow. And
right,
right. Okay, got it.
right.
Got it.
Yep. So the Chapter 33 benefit came into being after post 9/11. It's an education benefit. It pays tuition and fees, a book stipend of $41.67 per credit hour. This has not changed since 2009.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
And it's up. You can get a book stipend up to $1,000 a year. So you take 41.67 and multiply it by your credits, and that's how you
Right.
find out what your book stipend is.
Got it.
Um, And it has a basic housing allowance for whatever region that you're taking classes in. It's different all over the United States, so it's just based on where you're at.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, this one, the veteran will have had to serve at least 4 years to receive the benefit at the 100% level of benefit.
Okay.
And they also have to have served 4 years before they can transfer it.
Wow.
Um,
All
if
right.
if a service member serves less than 4 years, they will get a percentage of the benefit, but not at 100%, and they won't be able to transfer it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
this benefit can be transferred to family members once the criteria of transferability has been met. Now, when my husband transferred it in 2009, the window was very wide.
Mhm.
It's a
Mhm.
it's much smaller now.
Mm.
And so it's up to the service member to be speaking to your command to find out where they are in the window. There's an open window and a closed window. So
So is that across the board, or it's specific to each service member, the window? Is it like a
no, the
timeline that's
window is specifically to all service members,
got you?
and it has shrunk
Oh,
since
okay.
my husband. Most of the time, if you're going to transfer the benefit, you have to commit to 3 more years, 4 more years to be able to
Wow.
transfer the benefit.
Got
So
it.
my
Okay.
husband in '09, when he was getting ready, when we were looking into this benefit, he was getting ready to re-enlist anyway. So
Right.
it married itself.
Got it. Perfect.
So
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to remember that detail, but I that
yeah,
would have likely been our case too. We weren't near
yeah.
retirement, so.
And I'm sorry if you hear the jets overhead. We're right by Langley, so
And Kathy and I joked, and those who are military joining us, what we said, it's the sound of freedom, right?
freedom. Yes, that's why we have headsets on.
Yes.
And as far as the transferability, the recommendation at this point is always when you're in the window to transfer benefit is always to transfer at least 1 month to every child that you have and your spouse. And I had veterans come to me and say, my child's only 2 or 3 years old. And I'm like, if they
Mm,
have a social security number and they're on your DEERS, transfer 1 month,
right.
just one
Right.
month. They can't do anything really with it.
Right.
But if it's not transferred while the veteran is active duty, it cannot be transferred
Right.
once you're outside that window and once you retire.
Wow.
And yes, I have had veterans say, "Well, my benefit's going to I'm going to pay for my child's education," and
Yes.
they didn't transfer it, and they weren't able to do that.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's one of the really important things. That's why I wanted to be on here because
Yes.
those of you that are active duty, this is a really important conversation to have while
Yes.
you're active duty.
Yes.
Um, and again, the nice thing is that the benefit can be adjusted once the veteran has retired, but it can't be transferred
Got it.
after retirement. Now, there has been a lot of discussion um, amongst veterans who didn't know about the window to take this before Congress and get it changed. But at this time, every time I'm around military, active duty military, I discuss this transferability with them. So,
Right, because it's not really a conversation, especially if you have, like you mentioned, example, if you have really young children, you may not be thinking about that. You don't know the future, all the things. There was a conversation on one of the groups I'm a part of just recently, and I was like, oh gosh, from what I understood, it was the same thing that you just mentioned, is that you need to allocate it to those you want it to go to your family members, your dependents specifically, right? While you are active. And there was a situation that broke my heart, like I said, where a mom was saying, oh, my husband transferred them all to our oldest son, who used all but one semester worth, and the younger son didn't get any transferred. And then he retired, And so there's this technically the semester left of benefits out there that was unused, but because the family hadn't transferred any amount to the younger son prior to retiring, it
Mhm.
just was it's gone. It's lost. It's
Right.
lost. So yeah,
Yeah.
and that's all that's money, right? For
Right.
college for our family members, for our dependents. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
wow.
and the other thing I want to say about this benefit is that it's always the veteran.
Yes.
So if the veteran has a conversation with the student and puts parameters on it, he can go in and to Mill Connect and make those changes.
Yes.
And I've had students call me and say, my dad can't do this or my mom can't do this. And I'm like, it is always the veteran's benefit.
Always.
So
Right.
um, it works
Right.
both ways.
Right.
So,
So that's a family conversation for
hmm
sure, right?
hmm
If you are a student and you are expecting that transfer and it
hmm
was put in, but there are situations sometimes
hmm
where veterans, for whatever reason, will go in and make adjustments. So, like you said, that's a really good point to
hmm
emphasize. So, I want to stop for a minute and welcome anyone that has joined us. Thank you for joining us. We're having a great conversation about VA benefits. So, please let us know in the comments where you are joining from and any questions because we're going to take some time. So, we want to see some questions coming in the comments. All right. Okay, go ahead, Kathy. Sorry to interrupt. We're at chapter 35, I think.
Yes. Now, this is a federal benefit, and I like to distinguish that because students get our state benefit and our federal benefit all mixed up. And so I call it the federal benefit. It is the Dependent Education Program. It is a benefit that is the dependence when the veteran has been deemed 100% disabled by the Department of Veteran Affairs.
Mhm.
This benefit will not start until that process has been finished by the veteran with the Department of Veterans Affairs. This benefit also requires that tuition and fees be paid to the college prior to the submission of um, the enrollment to the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Mhm.
It generates a stipend based on the enrollment status of the student, less than half time, three-quarter time, and full time.
Okay.
Part of my job is to look at a student's schedule, and even if they're in 12 credits, but
Right.
they're in 4 different terms, it doesn't. So
It's
that's
not
part of my
considered
job.
full-time it because it's different terms, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
wow. That's a
exactly.
hard conversation too, if
Yes.
they think yeah.
And but the great thing about this benefit is that once it's applied for and received, it can't be taken away. There are some age limits, 26 for dependents, and then 10 years after a spouse uses the benefit or applies for the benefit, they have 10 years to use it. So,
Okay. That's the part
so
I didn't know. That's good. So
yeah, yes, I
so if I
won't
want to go
apply
back
for
to
it.
school at this
Yeah,
point, I got 10 years from retirement when yeah.
yeah. So I'm kind of waiting to apply for it because I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. So
Yeah. When you
just
grow up, right? When
when
we
I
grow
grow
up,
up.
we'll figure it out,
Yes,
right?
yes. So one of the conversations that Natalie and I have kind of alluded to one of the things I'd like just to put out here um, is if you're going to apply for this benefit, please have the money discussions um, at home
Yes.
because when you come into my office, I'm going to push that conversation back home. And
Mhm.
if I get pushed, I'll just look at the parents and the student and say, I just need to let you know I started this process as a parent of a student. And I
Yes.
had to have this conversation
Yes.
with my son and with my husband, not in this office.
Yes.
So it is determined by what you put in the application where the money goes. So
Right.
that's all I'm
Yes.
going to say.
Yeah. No, no, that's good. And that's part of providing the information is that's a key component of it is that before you get to Kathy's office or we'll talk
Any
about
office.
any office, right? You need to have had that conversation and have
Mhm.
clarity about, between the veteran and whoever is expecting those benefits to be transferred. So definitely. And Jennifer, thanks. I see your questions. We're going to get to those shortly. So so for state benefits, tell us a little bit about that because that's a big question families often have too. So yeah.
Yeah. Before I started this job, I didn't realize that states even had education benefits. And we are blessed in Virginia
Hmm.
to
Yes.
have the Virginia Military Spouse Dependent Education Program. It pays 8 semesters of tuition and fees at any community college, public community college, university, or college. Not private, but
Hmm. Public.
public.
Okay.
Um, I would, whatever state you're in, as I was getting ready for this to get together with you all, I Googled it.
Yes.
Um, and most states do have a benefit. So, and the nice thing is in Virginia, you only have to be your veteran only needs to be deemed 90% before you
Right.
can apply for it. So,
Right.
so those of who are at 90, but the veteran hasn't gotten 100 can use the state benefit. So, whatever state you're in, I would just go ahead and Google um, state education benefits for dependents, and that's how I
Okay.
found this information.
Okay.
Um, so, the
And
other
so
thing too, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, so potentially using the state of Virginia, where I am as well as you are, a, a service member could be not eligible, right? Could be less than 100% disabled, and so therefore not eligible for the Chapter 35, but maybe 90% disabled and are eligible for the benefits here in Virginia is what.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Hmm.
And so you said just check your state because
Hmm.
there's
Exactly.
similarities across. Okay, great, great,
Yep.
great.
Yeah, Texas has a really good one as well.
Okay.
So it just it Google is our friend.
Yes. I always
So
say Google does what it does best. You put in what you ask, it'll give you a whole lot of things. So
yeah. One of the other things I do encourage students to do, this is a different subject, but October 1st is when financial aid opens for the next year.
mhm,
If you have a student that's in a senior in high school, it would behoove you to go ahead and do the financial aid, the FAFSA at FAFSA.org.
mhm.
It helps with these benefits, particularly the ones where tuition and fees has to be paid prior to us submitting the information to the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Okay,
Um,
good to know.
so,
And that
um,
FAFSA real took you mentioned the FAFSA process. Um, there is a section where parents, uh, you have to submit your 1040, your federal tax returns, right? And so if you've done it electronically, it is so much easier
yes.
because you can give it uh, the permission to sync over your tax return,
Hmm.
um, in a way that if you didn't do it electronically, the process takes so much longer. Obviously, I mean that's what we used to only have, right? So, but now that we have electronic and digital, we are used to that, and so it's much quicker. So that's something, and parents do need to, I think, for the FAFSA to be processed, right, and for the evaluation to be given, I think it's the EFC, expected family
Right.
contribution, right, needs to be given. The family does have to, right, give access to the tax returns.
Right.
Yes, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because I've
That's
had
a
some
whole different
families say, "I
subject.
don't." Yeah, that's right, right, right. That's a for another time. But just so people know, when we mention the FAFSA, look into the process. So,
Well, and I actually I didn't say this earlier, but I started college at 50. And the person in my position said, you need to apply for financial aid. And I said, wait, my husband's active duty. Wait, no. She said, you're going to college. This is yours. You need to
yeah,
do this. And sure enough, the Department of Education deemed us, my son and I, eligible for grants. And then when he retired, we were already in the conduit. It's just, I think the fear of not knowing what you don't know until you know it is
right.
what stops us a lot. So
Yes.
that's why I like to bring that out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. See where we are. So I think that Kathy, was there anything else that we needed to cover with the state benefits? I think that we covered everything. I don't want to leave out all this good information. I see the questions, comments, so thank you all so much for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Our state benefit, just because I know it, I love telling students it's good news, bad news. The
yeah,
great news is that we have the benefit, but
right.
I want to caution you to not use it at our college because our tuition is $2,000. At ODU, it's $10,000. If you use it with us, you're losing the $8,000 at ODU. That's just
Yes.
plain simple
Math,
numbers.
that's plain simple numbers. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was a nugget there. That was a huge nugget. Thank you. So, how does a family make use of these benefits? What's the application process?
All VA federal benefits are started by applying for them at the va.gov website. They've changed the website. So later we're going to put the actual link on the how to
Yes.
apply
Yes.
page. If you
Yes.
go to the va.gov website and you look for the education and training tab, then you're going to look for applying for the benefits. And you're
Okay.
going to answer the benefits. If you're eligible for 2 benefits, and I saw that question there, you're going
Yeah.
to answer the application questions based on the benefit you're applying for first. And
Got
then
you.
technically, if you're eligible for the second benefit, you're going to apply for it again. You're applying for a new benefit, but you're going to answer the questions differently.
Got it.
Does that make
Got it.
sense?
Yes. Yes.
And then state benefits are always applied at the state website where the benefits are housed.
Okay. Okay. And
So
so, and like you mentioned for Virginia military spouse dependent
dependent education
educational
program.
program, right? I knew the D had to be dependent in there. So awesome, awesome. So, okay, so that's the process. And we did post the link there to va.gov, the education section. So please see that in the chat. So also, so where should families look to discover you, someone like you at a college, right? Does every college have a veterans office, for lack of a better word? And what questions should they ask?
So they need to first, you can do it at home in front of your computer. They need to explore the college's websites to see if they have a military tab. If you go onto the Virginia Peninsula Community College main website, our
Mhm.
tab is up on the left-hand side. You click on that and it feeds you through our processes.
Okay.
If it's not like blatant on the front page of the website, you can go ahead and call and email the colleges and ask how their ask the information on how their benefits are processed at the college. Some of them are front facing like we are. You come into our offices, we have a process, we have you do it. Once you've completed our process, we submit your information to the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Mhm.
There are some colleges where this operation is done in the registrar's office and you
Mhm.
never see the school certifying official.
Got
You
it.
never talk to anybody. So you just need to do you need to ask at the college that you're attending
Okay. Okay.
how their process is because it isn't always the same.
Okay. Good to know. Good to
And
know.
the question that you would ask is, I want to use a military education
Like
benefit
benefits.
here at
Uh-huh.
your college, and
Mhm.
what is your process
Okay.
for this to happen?
Okay, so that's your question to ask,
Yes.
or to
Yep.
call and ask, or have your
Right.
student go in, right,
Yep.
in to the
Exactly.
office and ask,
Yep.
because it's really good for the students to understand the process too, and be able to speak to the right those in authority to ask those questions as well. So that's really good. That's good stuff. So, so therefore, then what documents will be needed to begin this process? So they've gone in, I know they're going to be told, but in advance, what can we talk about now and what can we learn about to get prepared for this conversation that we'll have?
Well, again, you need to apply for the benefit. If you're
Right.
eligible for the benefit and you're getting ready to start college, that's the first question we're going to ask you walking into our office.
Mhm.
Um, is have you applied for it? And you're
Mhm.
going to go to the va.gov website and apply. You're
Mhm.
going to need the student's going to need their social.
Mhm.
They're going to need the sponsor's social. They're going to need the school's address, phone number, and the state
Okay.
that they're planning to attend,
Mhm.
the degree that they're planning to pursue.
Okay.
And here's where the money comes in, the
Yes.
routing number of the bank and the bank account that the money is going to be deposited into. You
Okay.
need to just have all of that handy. Now, I have some students who are in the beginning of the process and then they go, I applied, but I changed my mind and I want to do a different degree. That's
Yes.
okay. You've
Yes.
applied, the process has started.
Right.
When we submit that enrollment, we're going to submit it for the degree that you're attending at our school. So it's okay for you to change your mind.
Okay.
It's not okay to change your mind 3 times in the same semester, but it's
Right.
okay. Does that make
Right.
sense? Yeah.
Yes, it does make sense. Yeah. And that can be a scary question too. People are wondering, oh gosh, I thought I wanted to do this. Is that somehow correlated to my, approval of being able to have access to these benefits? So
Yeah.
that's good to know. Really good to know. Um, and so the routing number bank account. All right. So here's this. We talked a little bit about this already. So, but do families need to be strategic in allocating the benefits if they have multiple children? And I know I mentioned the story that I recently was privy to. I know you talked about one. And so, what is it that we can say specifically to address that question?
If you're active duty, just be having the conversations about college.
Hmm.
Um, Post 9/11 can be reallocated after retirement if at least 1 month has been allocated during the transferability period.
Hmm.
While the veteran was active duty, it's also important, if you've adopted a child, if you're a step parent, there's some parameters. There's a
Hmm.
long list we could have gone over, but I'm not going
Yes.
to. That's why I gave
Yes.
you the 888 number and you
Right.
can call because they can look at your DEERS account and they can tell you, yeah, no, I
Right.
can't. So
Right. Right. Right.
yeah.
Right.
And your student may be eligible for a state benefit before they're eligible for the Chapter 35, which we said if the disability rating is less than 100%. Folds of Honor is a scholarship. There are so many military scholarships out there. Um, I would say in the junior year of your student's high school career, they need to start doing the research. That could be part of their English or whatever, just to
Hmm.
find out. Because I've had students come in and I'm like, there's no scholarships out there. And I said, did you talk to the commissary? Did you
Right.
talk to the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society? Did you
Right.
talk to your base? What are they doing for education?
Right.
There's a lot of stuff out there.
There's a lot of stuff. That's
Yeah.
good. On our military families landing page for our website, hslda.org. And if you go to that at the top, there's a tab that is Explore. If you click that tab, then you'll see military families as an option to click. On there, we have listings of scholarships as well. There are more that I do intend to add to that list, but that's a place to check as well. So definitely, and some of the state orgs have great scholarship listings
Mhm.
as well. I know HEAV has a great page for military homeschoolers in Virginia as well. So that's just an extra nugget as well. So you work at the community college level because we've been talking a little bit about that, and you are an advisor there. So we're just going to briefly touch on the process for placement in courses. So this is not completely VA benefits, but is relevant because this is the conversation you may want to know. I have families ask, okay, how do I know what classes my homeschool student, needs to take, and what is the placement test?
Mhm. So all colleges have a way of kind of funneling students into the process. Um, and I I've been part of the college fair at HEAV, and the conversation that I've had about the placement test, it's just an achievement test here in the state of Virginia. All the
Mhm.
VCCS schools have it.
Okay.
And it just places you exactly with what you know. I had to take it at 50. It
Yes.
placed me exactly where I knew where I was at. Now, I took the English and math at the same time, and that was not a wise decision. But
Okay.
and so I've told students since then, take the English on one day and take the math on a different day. Your brain
Okay,
won't
that's
hurt as
another
bad.
nugget. Nugget number
So that,
3.
yeah, that's nugget number 3. The other thing too for homeschool students, please don't study for this achievement for this placement test. I've had that discussion. Well, my student studied placed into Math 161, and then he started class and he wasn't ready.
Mhm.
He can go back to the other maths. Well, it takes a little bit to jump back. So
Right. Right.
that's just, it places a student where they need to start. If a student starts and is dual enrolled with us, they're going to do a process with them
Mhm.
that moves them forward in their college degree as well. So, again, I would just ask your colleges and your community colleges in your state what their
Mhm.
requirements are.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes, yeah, if you're keeping good records, certain community college will take your high school transcripts and put them in as official.
Right.
But
Right.
those kind of things. So, but the placement test is not a scary thing to do, but most homeschooling students are asked to take it because it does truly place them where they should be to come to the community college. So,
Right, for the classes that are offered there, right?
right,
So
right,
it's a
right.
good assessment. So that's good to know. You mentioned the dual enrollment process. That's not what we're discussing either, but since it did come up, I do want to make sure that our audience knows that here we work totally with high school homeschooling families. Our high school educational consultants are, and I'm one of them, but we have several others who are super duper awesome at working with you to make sure that your student has, the transcript and understands the dual enrollment or DE process. So please reach out to our high school staff if you have any questions about that. Now, piggybacking on that, one of the things that I recommend as a high school educational consultant is that if you're going to consider that dual enrollment process or even go for an AA and you are going to consider transferring to a 4-year university, that you want to stick with what we call general education courses. Is that still something that is recommended from the community college level?
I would say again, you need to do your research. If a student comes to the community college first, which I think
Okay.
is best at this point, and I'm going to tell you, prior to 2009, this was not my stance. But
Mhm.
having gone through the process with community colleges and also attended and graduated,
Mhm.
um, I think it's best for the
Okay.
first couple semesters to check
Yes.
out your community colleges. We have smaller class sizes. Our tuition and fees is $2,000 instead of 10,000.
Right.
Um, One of the things that I didn't realize was important. There's a diversity across the board, but there's an age diversity.
Okay.
18-year-olds to 50-year-olds to
Mhm.
70-year-olds.
Mhm. Mhm.
Some people are like, but I think that brings what we're looking for in the homeschool community anyway. We want to be, I always wanted my kids to be able to talk to a 70-year-old and not just an 18-year-old.
Right.
So,
Right. 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 Okay.
um, and then at least a couple semesters with us to make sure that college itself is a good fit for their student. I mean, it's just cheaper that way. If
Mhm.
the student is headed for a 4-year college, they should always place themselves in the transfer degrees that the community college um, has. We have
Okay.
5 of them: engineering, liberal arts, social science, science and engineering,
Okay.
um, and, and business administration. Um, when you're talking to us, you need to be talking to your 4-year college to make sure that you're going in the right direction.
Right.
Um, the nice thing about community college is that we have articulation agreements and
Mhm.
guaranteed admissions. um, in our back pocket as well.
Wow, that's
So,
good. That's good.
yeah.
This has
Yep.
been great. So much good
Yeah.
information. Thank you. I just knew it. I just knew you have so much good information. I'm going to go here. I see the questions are coming. I appreciate everyone putting questions. If you haven't put questions in the comments, you can go ahead. We're going to turn now to the questions just to try to answer some of them. Probably all of them. We'll give it a shot. And like I mentioned later, anyone that watches the replay later, thank you for watching the replay. You can share the Facebook Live into your community because it is a public Facebook Live. And you can also continue to comment, and we will get back to you as best we can to respond. So let me go back up here. And Kathy, you have the comments open too, right? So let's
Yeah.
see what
Do
our
you want me to
first
start
one.
at the top?
Yeah, let's see what the first one is.
Okay.
Looks like Jennifer Gray is who I
Yes.
have. Okay.
So does the post 9/11 have a housing stipend for dependents or only the veteran? As long as the veteran is no longer active duty, um, the okay, let me rephrase this.
Yeah.
My son, while my husband was active duty, was eligible for the stipend.
Yes.
While I he was active duty, I was not, so I used the MyCAA scholarship.
Got you.
As soon as he retired,
Yes.
I, as his spouse, was eligible for the housing stipend.
Got it.
If you're
Got
an
it.
active duty spouse using post 9/11, you are not eligible for a housing stipend.
Got it. Okay.
So once you're out of the military, the housing stipend is available to everybody.
Got it. I
In
finally it's they give
if
us
the yeah,
technically,
if
they give us housing. Right.
right, exactly. It's called double dipping.
Right, right,
Jennifer,
double dipping.
your cross your question is great, and I
Yes,
really appreciate you bringing this up. So the post 9/11 transferability is only 36 months. Okay, so if you give 4 months to Natalie and 4 months to Jennifer and 4 months to so and so, you're gonna in nine, with 9 children, you're gonna run out of it. The
right.
nice thing about the Chapter 35 benefit is it gives 36 months of benefit to each and every dependent and the spouse. So if you have 4 kids, they're eligible for 36 months of benefit. There's no there's no division. So that is a great question, Jennifer.
Okay. All right. All right. Great. Where are we now? Okay, Andrea says for chapter 35, my husband officially retired September 1, 2023. Congratulations. I didn't realize that. Waiting on disability rating. Is that then retroactive to September 1 for a child in college? Can we apply as soon as we have the rating?
Yes, please apply once you have the rating. On the certificate of eligibility that they're going to send to you, they're going to tell you when the student became eligible for the benefit, which potentially could be this date. Can you be back certified? Yes, I just did 2 yesterday.
Uh-huh.
It has to do with the paperwork. We call and make sure that what we are seeing is the same.
Right.
So yes, it
Okay.
can be retroactive. And again, it's a conversation that you have with the college that your student is at. So I want to we've just gotten this rating. What's your process?
What's your
So,
process? Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer says, can a single student use multiple chapters or forms of federal benefits?
They can, but why?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I've had students who've used all three,
Mm-hmm.
TOE, 35, and VMSDP. But why?
Mm-hmm.
VMSDP and Chapter 33 transfer of benefit are both paying tuition and fees. So,
Oh, like so what's left? What's
right.
the need that
So,
still would be outstanding, right?
right. And so
Uh-huh.
the student who used VMSDP, we couldn't ask for tuition and fees under his transfer of benefit.
Got it.
We have
Got it.
we have some checks and balances there. So,
Got it. Okay.
yeah.
let me see. She may have had another question, maybe in a wording it a little bit differently. So, Dorothy Clement, thanks for joining from Missouri. And so we have the links there that have been posted for, and those will still live even after we are live. They will still be there in the comments. So Shirley says, can a Chapter 35 be used for certifications or master programs?
It can be, the Chapter 35 benefit can be used for any education program. The parameters are a little bit different in the masters.
Mhm.
Um, and the certifications are a kind of a touchy subject. So it's really weird with Chapter 35, particularly at our college.
Mhm.
If you're in a certificate, like business management certificate,
Right.
the VA has put this little caveat that says all of your classes have to be face to face.
Oh, wow.
And then
Okay.
students are like, but I need to take this online. So then we move them into an actual degree.
Got you. Got you.
So the VA is paying for more certifications like licensures and those types of things. Again, you need to ask those specific questions to the 888-442-4551 number.
Okay. Right. Right. Call the number, Shirley, just to
Yeah.
know for sure. Um, D Family 6, Chapter 35 benefits are listed as a stipend given directly to the student, but there is federal oversight of the college. Any advice for students attending a college that does not accept federal funds? This is a question that comes up too. Any advice that you are aware of?
Um, so we are not our own
Hmm.
as a college. All colleges that are using military education benefits
Hmm.
have to go through the state approving agency for their state to get permission to submit information to the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Got it.
So we have a list of rules that is this long that
Yes.
we don't tell you that we have to abide by,
Right.
but that's what precip- precipitates our questions to you. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? Because we know that it's going to stop your
Right.
benefit if we submit it.
Right.
Um, I didn't put this in the chat, and I can go looking for it as we discuss it. Every school that has been approved by their state approving agency has a Weems report. It is a report that is public. It's called Public Weems, and it's just the acronym WEAMS,
Hmm.
and it tells you what programs each school in each state are are eligible to submit that information to the VA for.
Got it. Got
We
it.
go
Got
through
it.
catalog approval every year. So,
Wow. Wow. That's good information too. I know
yeah.
that there are some families that prefer their children to attend colleges that don't have the federal
Hmm.
oversight or funding. And so, but they still are looking for funding from other sources. So I would say that definitely look at the links that we've put here for scholarship opportunities that are listed on our HSLDA page. Those, some of them may be applicable for your student to look
Hmm.
into. But that is a question that we hear. Uh,
Yeah.
and Tasha says, oh, she commented to Jennifer that she and her daughter are both using Chapter 35. Okay, great, great, Tasha. Christina Cooper, I think they work better with work schedules as well for those older students who work. Yes, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Also, let's see. Andrea says, so that is initiated at the university and not the va.gov. So she is back, she's referring back to her question. Andrea, I remember about Chapter 35 and husband just retired. That question about waiting for the rating. So, and you had
Yeah.
referred her to talk to her school.
S- so Andrea, once you've applied for the benefit and So in our office, if you've applied for the benefit, we want a copy of the confirmation page. We don't make you wait until you get what's called the certificate of eligibility. Um, Once you've applied for the benefit, if you make a screenshot of the confirmation page, we move forward with that. For post 9/11, tuition and fees is going to come to us through that benefit. For you to submit for Chapter 35, we're going to say to you, you have to pay for your classes before we submit. So we've met the parameters for the college for that benefit. So
Mhm.
um, once you've applied for the benefit, then yes, I would approach your university and say, can I use this benefit here?
Right.
And getting back to the non-federally funded colleges,
Mhm.
again, if they've been willing to go through the process with the state approving agency to
Mhm.
send in their catalog and be approved by the state approving agency to submit military education benefits, then you can use the benefits there. But sometimes they're not willing to go through the process. So
Right.
just got to
Okay.
ask.
Okay. Okay. Tasha mentioned, and you get a stipend, she's telling Jennifer Gray. State oversight correction. Okay, right. No worries. No worries. D Family 6. Dana says, I'm just turning in and will catch the replay for what I missed. It's very helpful information. Thank you. Yes, that's why we love the replay. So it's available for you to watch. Thank you for coming in, Dana. I appreciate it. Make
Yes.
sure you all share it out to others in our community. So, and then you have the Weems and information there as well. So, again, this is great information. So, Kathy, I appreciate it. We could keep talking about this. I
Mhm.
appreciate you for joining. Thank you so much, Kathy. And from what I'm seeing with the comments, and I hope that this conversation was an encouragement for those watching. I know as military homeschool families, we face unique challenges and we can feel disconnected and forgotten sometime, right? So here at HSLDA, we are working hard to develop resources that will help you find connection and encouragement. We do maintain a growing list of homeschool groups that you can search for, including overseas military support groups as well as stateside. So, if you are a leader of a military homeschool support group or co op, we would love for you to request to be in our directory because this gives all of us an opportunity to, when we PCS, we can plug into the directory and hopefully find a connection at the next duty station. So that would be a way to definitely get the information that you need. So if you want to reach me directly because you do want to know more about that process of getting your group listed, or you have a question relevant to military homeschooling or high school educational consulting, I can either answer it or send it over to our other consultants as well. Then please reach out to me, military at hslda.org. I would love to respond and support you in any way possible. Also, HSLDA members have great access to our team of legal attorneys and legal assistants. And I mentioned the high school consultants. We have a whole team of other educational consultants from kindergarten all the way up. So, definitely special needs and bilingual. So, if any of those are support that you need, please know that we have that. If you're not already a member, please consider joining. If you are military, this is the link to join and get the military discount. It is hslda.org/military discount. It's all one word, military discount. All right. If you're not an HSLDA member and you're not military, then it is hslda.org/join. But if you are military, there's a different link. All right. So again, thank you, Kathy. Now, if anyone wants to reach out to Kathy and find out more information, or you have a specific questions, especially if you are on the Hampton Peninsula and you want to get more information, please reach out to her. Her information was posted in the chat as well. She's also on the Facebook group Homeschooling in Hampton Roads. She's very active and supportive there. And she also serves with HEAV, Home Educators Association of Virginia. So I appreciate you all. I think that we have, I don't see any other comments coming through. I think we are pretty much, I'm scrolling really quickly. So everything's there, all the information, all the links. So thank you all so much. And Kathy, again, I really appreciate you for coming in and Thank you so much. I see one last quick question. Husband retired 2014. I now get the blessing of homeschooling our grandkids. It's great. Any groups for veteran grandparents homeschooling? We can look those up and we will respond, Christina, in the chat, okay? Or you can reach out to me at military@hslda.org, okay? I appreciate you joining. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.